Imagine being called the point god. Imagine checking every box that defines basketball excellence. Elite scoring, perfect passing, lockdown defense, basketball IQ off the charts. Now imagine doing all of that for 18 years and never winning a championship. Chris Paul is the greatest point guard you've never seen win a title. He's the master of the game who never got his crowning moment. Today we're breaking down how CP3 became the most skilled point guard in NBA history, why his career is haunted by devastating losses, and whether one of basketball's most complete players will be remembered as a tragic figure or an uncrowned king. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Chris Paul's story is the most heartbreaking what if in modern basketball. Chris Paul wasn't supposed to be an NBA player. At 5 feet 1 inch as a high school freshman, he was too small, too slow, too ordinary. Classmates mocked him, but his grandfather, Nathaniel Papa Chili Jones, saw something different. Papa Chili owned the first black-operated service station in North Carolina. He taught Chris about work ethic by having him pump gas, rotate tires, and change oil for hours after school. The lessons weren't about cars. They were about excellence through repetition, about earning respect through consistent effort. November 15th, 2002. Teenagers attempted to rob Papa Chili as he carried groceries to his car. They beat him so severely that he died of a heart attack. Chris was 17 years old, devastated, and furious.
That night I was angry, and my family was angry.
Days after the funeral, Chris's high school had a game. He demanded to play. What happened next became legendary. Chris Paul scored 61 points, one for every year of his grandfather's life. When he hit the 61st point on a floater with a foul, he went to the free throw line and intentionally missed, refusing to score a 60-second point. He walked to the bench in tears. The story made national headlines. In that moment, Chris Paul wasn't just a talented high school player anymore. He was someone who turned grief into greatness. At Wake Forest, Chris Paul's talent was undeniable. He averaged 15 points and 6 assists while shooting 47% from 3 as a freshman. But there was a problem. His competitiveness bordered on psychotic. In the final game of his sophomore season, Paul punched an opposing player in the groin during a heated moment. His teammate Justin Gray described him perfectly: genius, but with a crazy side. That obsessiveness brings out the worst in him when games start. This wasn't just youthful aggression, it was a preview of Paul's career-long struggle. His intensity made him great, but it also created friction. Teammates respected him, but sometimes resented him. Opponents hated playing against him because he never let up. The competitiveness that drove him to excellence would later be labeled as difficult to play with and locker room cancer, unfair characterizations that would follow him throughout his career. Chris Paul entered the NBA as the 4th pick in 2005.
The New Orleans Hornets select Chris Paul from Wake Forest University.
And immediately proved he belonged. He averaged 16 points, 8 assists, and 2 steals while nearly winning Rookie of the Year unanimously. By his 3rd season, Paul was posting Magic Johnson numbers: 21 points, 11 assists, 2.7 steals while shooting 50% from the field. Magic won 3 MVPs with similar stats. The difference: Magic had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Paul had David West. The 2008 playoffs showed both Paul's brilliance and his curse. Against the defending champion Spurs in the 2nd round, Paul was the best player on the court. Better than Tim Duncan, better than Tony Parker, better than Manu Ginobili. He averaged 24 points, 12 assists, and 3 steals while playing elite defense. The series went 7 games. Game 7 score: Spurs 91, Hornets 82. Paul had 18 points, 14 assists, and 5 steals in defeat. It was a preview of his entire career. Individual excellence that wasn't quite enough to overcome team deficiencies in crucial moments. December 8th, 2011. Chris Paul is packing his bags, celebrating. He's been traded to the Lakers to team up with Kobe Bryant. The basketball world is about to witness one of the greatest backcourts ever assembled. Then NBA Commissioner David Stern vetoed the trade. The league owned the Hornets at the time, and Stern unilaterally killed a deal that would have paired Paul with a still elite Kobe. 4 days later, Paul was traded to the Clippers instead. He'd partner with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan in the Lob City era. Exciting, but never quite championship caliber. Imagine CP3 learning from Kobe for 5 years. Imagine Paul's basketball IQ combined with Bryant's killer instinct and championship experience. Instead, Paul got a young, talented Clippers team that never put it together when it mattered. The veto might have saved Paul from teaming with an aging Kobe, or it might have cost him multiple championships. We'll never know. Game 5, 2nd round, Clippers versus Thunder. Series tied 2-2. Final minutes. Chris Paul commits 2 critical turnovers, then fouls Russell Westbrook on a 3-point attempt. The Thunder win 105-104. Paul's mistakes directly cost the Clippers the game. "It's on me. Everything at the end is on me," Paul said after. Conference semifinals, Game 6. Clippers lead the series 3-2 and are up 19 points in the third quarter against Houston. They're cruising to the first conference finals in franchise history. Then they score 5 points in the entire fourth quarter. The Rockets outscore them 40-5. Final score, Rockets 119, Clippers 107. It's one of the worst collapses in playoff history. Game 7, another loss. The Lob City Clippers never recovered. Western Conference Finals, Rockets versus Warriors. Houston leads 3-2. Chris Paul is playing brilliantly in Game 5, sealing the win in the clutch. Then his hamstring pops.
Paul on the spin. Rebound three.
He's done for the series. Without Paul, the Rockets missed 27 consecutive three-pointers in Game 7 and lose.
Porter hardly short. And Gordon for three. Ariza. There's the corner three from pops it out to Gordon for three.
He was one game away from the finals, one healthy hamstring away from potentially beating the Warriors. Instead, it's another almost. Age 36. After 16 seasons, Chris Paul finally makes the NBA Finals with Phoenix. He's playing the best basketball of his late career. Efficient, smart, clutch. The Suns take a 2-0 lead over Milwaukee. Paul averages 22 points and 8 assists on absurd 55-52 shooting splits. This is finally his moment. Then Giannis scores 50 in Game 6 to clinch the championship. Paul is ringless again. The next season, Phoenix wins 64 games, best in the league. Paul leads the NBA in assists at age 37. They're title favorites. Game 7 of the second round against Dallas at home, the Suns lose by 33 points. At one point, they're down 46. It's the most embarrassing Game 7 performance in NBA history. Chris Paul's prime ends not with dignity, but with historic humiliation. Chris Paul is second all-time in assists. He has 9 all-defensive teams, the most ever for a point guard. He led the league in steals 6 times. He averaged 18 points, 9.5 assists, and just 2.3 turnovers for 18 years. Compare that to other legendary point guards. Magic Johnson, 3.9 turnovers per game. Isaiah Thomas, 3.8 turnovers per game. John Stockton had 3,000 more assists than CP3, but also 1,200 more turnovers. Paul's efficiency was unmatched. His all-around game checked every box. He was the most complete point guard in NBA history. But he never won a title, and in basketball, championships define legacies. Fair or not, Paul is remembered for his failures more than his sustained excellence. The 2014 OKC collapse, the 2015 Rockets disaster, the 2018 hamstring, the 2021 finals loss, the 2022 blowout, each one carved away at his legacy. Chris Paul's career is basketball's greatest tragedy. He did everything right. The work ethic, the skill development, the leadership, the consistency. He played the game the right way for nearly 2 decades, and it wasn't enough. Maybe that's the lesson of Chris Paul's career. Sometimes excellence isn't enough. Sometimes you need luck. Sometimes you need perfect health at the perfect moment. Sometimes you just need one thing to go right instead of wrong. Here's my question for you. Does Chris Paul's ringless career diminish his greatness, or does 18 years of sustained excellence matter more than championship count? Is he a tragic figure who couldn't win when it mattered, or is he proof that basketball is a team game where individual brilliance can't overcome everything? Drop your take in the comments. I want to hear whether you think CP3 is underrated, overrated, or exactly where he should be in the all-time rankings. And if this deep dive into basketball's most frustrating career resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. We're breaking down more stories about players whose legacies are complicated by what they never achieved, not just what they did. Thanks for watching.